Hi, I'm Chris Flowers. I'm conducting interviews for the Young Republicans here on election night 2010, a historical night it will be. And we're here at the DoubleTree Hotel in Tucson, Arizona, and we happen to be with Frank Antenori. It's my honor and privilege to introduce this man. He's a local District 30 and a prior U.S. Army like myself. Thank you for your service, sir.
You too.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And like I said, we're just conducting some interviews. Like I said, obviously, you've been all over. Of course, you're a regular on John Justice. We see you on Fox News all the time. Listen, first of all, we appreciate your service. We appreciate what you're doing for the state of Arizona, most definitely.
Oh, thanks.
So, your service is outstanding.
Well, Arizona needs fighters, and if anybody learned anything tonight, the guys that are winning these races, the guys that are sticking their neck out and willing to fight for what they believe in, and that's what it's all about. Yeah.
That's all. So, I said, just a couple questions I always want to ask. You said, what plans do you have to get the state budget back in line, and how are you going to incorporate private industry and free market solutions?
Well, let me tell you, you cannot cut your way out of this mess. You can't tax your way out of this mess. You've got to grow your way out of it. So one of the big things, talking to a lot of business guys, is the regulatory climate in Arizona is hurting. We've got to go through every regulation in the state of Arizona, see if it's justified. If it's providing a safety measure or a health issue to protect the health and safety, then we'll keep it. If it's just another burdensome layer for no reason, it's got to go. We've got to change the tax code. We have an archaic tax code in this state. And what I'd like to see is I'd like to see us get rid of the progressive tax code, because the left uses it as a sledgehammer to divide people. They like creating this class warfare. And if you want to get rid of that, you got to go to a flat tax system where everybody's a taxpayer and everybody's paying a small portion, but an equal portion of their revenue to sustain the services that everybody in this state enjoys. So you don't have half the people pulling the wagon and the other half riding in the wagon. So everybody's a part, everybody's a shareholder. Once you do that and you create a flat, predictable, stable environment in tax and regulation, it's going to bring businesses in here. When Texas did it, it brought businesses into Texas. When Alabama did it, it's bringing businesses in Alabama. We've got to do it here in Arizona. It's the only way to get the state back to work, create jobs, create more taxpayers, and that's how you generate the revenue to solve the budget.
If the courts neutralize 1070, obviously, it's a night sort of
sure.
Most liberal court of that. What is it that you're going to do? One thing you know about is fighting, that nobody can accuse you of not know about that. What are you going to do to bring the fight down?
Well, we're going to take it to the Supreme Court. We're confident that when we get to the Supreme Court, you define where the state has a right to protect people and issue laws that are relative to public safety. This is not an immigration law, and I think the lower court was wrong. And if the Ninth Circuit really studies the law, they'll understand that this deals with public safety and the ability for law enforcement in Arizona to enforce the law and get criminals off the streets and make sure that those that are here illegally are told to leave the country. That's all this bill does. It's not an immigration bill. It's been mischaracterized by the left as an immigration bill. It's not. It's public safety. And if you look at it that, the states have an inherent right. And if it goes to the Supreme Court, I'm confident the Supreme Court will agree with that. If by some chance the Supreme Court doesn't, we will continue through nullification in the state of Arizona to pass laws to challenge the federal government's authority to regulate public safety in the state of Arizona and regulate the state as a whole. And we're going to continue. The story that's not being talked about tonight, everybody's looking at the federal races. What I'm hearing is that there are going to be over 500 conservative state legislators elected to 50 state legislatures in the United States that are going to take up the mantle of states' rights and roll back federal authority and federal usurpation of state sovereignty. And I think the federal government is in for the fight. Arizona was the shot heard around the world. It was the Lexington and Concord of the 10th Amendment battle, and it's just getting started. And you're going to see a lot more states standing up to fight the federal government and their overreaching authority.
And we talked about this a little bit. What are you going to do to entice businesses to come here to Arizona? How is it you're going to create that job market?
Well, businesses want predictability. They want stability. They don't want regulations changing day to day. They don't want the tax code changing day to day. And they want a labor force that they can count on. And the beauty of Arizona, we're a right-to-work state. The unions don't control the industries here. They have the ability to collectively bargain, but they don't control them to such a degree that they bankrupt them like they do in Michigan, in New York, in New Jersey. So if you want a friendly environment where you can get a good, solid, dependable workforce, or you want to come here and you can have a predictive economic environment, tax environment, regulatory environment, I think it's going to encourage a lot of business, particularly those leaving California right now, to look at Arizona as a serious place to set up shop and bring their businesses here.
Obviously, everybody knows that you're a Texas guy, you're a fighter, like that. Give us a fun fact we don't know about Frank. Let's get a little behind the curtain.
Oh no,
We don't use the warrior.
Well, people try to mischaracterize me all the time. My wife and I, we're going to be married here pretty soon, 20 years. She'll tell you that, I'm this real soft. She sees me, sometimes I'll shed a tear on a certain movie. There's a soft, kinder, gentler side of me. I get really sentimental when you see a patriotic movie or a sad movie. That kind of gets me. I spent 20 years in the military. You know how it is. You serve your country. You see people that don't have the freedoms and liberty that we have. So when you see a story about somebody that lost their liberty and then they fought to get it back, it kind of gets you right here and you get a little emotional. That may be the part of me that people don't understand. I have that soft spot out there for hard luck stories that people don't know from the outside. I love the movie Rudy. Every time I watch Rudy, I cry again. I cry again every time. So that may be the side of me. Green Berets do cry, but it's got to be a good reason. So Rudy's a good reason. So.
All right, now I got one question.
Sure.
What do you think about Russell Pierce bringing up the 14th Amendment in the legislature? What's your position on that?
Well, I don't think the timing is right now. I think we should wait and see what happens with SB 1070. I think the priority is getting the economy going. I think we do need to take a serious look, though, at this birthright citizenship issue and challenge that. But I think we need to, maybe some other state maybe needs to take that mantle up now. We've got to fix our economy and fix our budget here. And then maybe in the second session we can look at the 14th Amendment issue. But right now the job is to get Arizona working, and that's going to be the focus.
All right. This is Chris Flowers with the Young Republicans here, election night 2010. Starting representative Frank Antenori.
Thanks, Chris. All right. Take care.